See. Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to today's business webinar entitled Work-Life Balance and Employee Wellbeing from an HM Perspective. It is great honor for me to open this meaningful event. First, allow me to express our appreciation to our three amazing speakers, Muhammad Sadam Ramadan, Nurdia Safitri Hasan, and Muhammad Fadli Saputra, and our moderator for today, Hana Ekariski, and all of you are enthusiastic participants who have taken the time join us this morning. Thank you for being here and for supporting this webinar. We hope this session provides meaningful insight for your personal and professional growth. Now, without further ado, I would like to hand over the session to our moderator, Hannah Ekariski, who will lead us through today's agenda. Hannah, the screen is yours.
Okay, good morning everyone, and thank you for Fitriani for the opening. Welcome once again to our business webinar, Work-Life Balance and Employee Wellbeing from an HCM perspective. My name is Hana Ekariski, and I will serve as your moderator for today's session. In this webinar, we will be learning from three insightful speakers who will share their perspective on how human capital management can promote work-life balance and employee well-being in the modern workplace. Um, let's begin with our first speaker, Muhammad Sadam Saputra, who will discussing the first topic of the day. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Muhammad Sadam Ramadan. I am one of the speaker in this seminar, and I will explain it simple about the human capital management of work-life balance and employee well-being from an HCM perspective. Okay. Next slide, please. What is work-life balance? Work-life balance is a state in which a person is able to divide time, energy, and attention equally between work and personal life. It's not only about the duration of time spent, but also about the quality of life felt both at home and work. Balance between professional responsibility and personal commitments so that they do not interfere with each other and creating a healthier life, happier, productive life into work, career, and personal life. This balance is not universal, but rather depends on the needs of and priorities of each individual. So basically, what work-life balance is dividing your work life and your personal life. It is very important to have a work-life balance. And as you can see in this PPT, it is said that this balance is not universal, but also rather depends on the needs and priorities of each individual, which means that not everybody have the same work-life balance. For instance, such thing as hard labor and something like that that doesn't need that much of thinking, only like carrying something or maybe building something, creating something. It is not the same as the one that requires your thinking and thought and everything that require brains mostly. Okay, next, please. But in real life, many people live in a 24/7 work system. Gadgets impede people from truly finish with their tasks. As a result, emotional exhaustion, burnout, and chronic stress occur. And this is one of the real case, which is like many people live in a 24/7 work system, which is really unhealthy for the employee that we have. Because if the employee is emotional exhaustion, burnout, and stress, it will decrease the productivity of the employee, which means for a company or a business, it will decrease in performances. And many people live in 24/7 work system, which means that they are even in their home, they need to do their own tasks. For instance, or maybe like uh, what is called overtime working, which is very unhealthy because you lack time to have your own personal time and maybe with your family, which is resulting in stress, and in the end it will result in a bad performances of the company. Next, please. Why work-life balance matters. Maintaining a balance between work and personal life is not only important for individual being, but also has a direct impact on professional performances and relationship. Sorry. When a person is able to balance the two, the overall quality of life improves. Study shows that 62% of employees stated that work flexibility was a major factor in retaining their jobs, which means that when an employee have well balanced work life, they have higher productivity because they are not stressed and they don't have burnouts, so they don't need to have holidays and better personal relationship, which mean that they have more quality time to spend with their friends, family, children, and others, and personal time. Because uh, if not, an employee will have difficulty in social life and something like that. In the end, that will be really bad because the stress is increasing and it will reduce the performance. Next, please. Oh, sorry, the previous one. What gets in the way? This is one of the common problems that employees have in the work-life balance context. Yeah, high work first thing first is high work pressure. Uh, Target demands and long working hours often make it difficult for individuals to detach themselves from office matters, and overcommitment. Too many responsibility at work and in personal life make time and energy divided unevenly. Unsupportive work culture, a work environment that prioritize productivity without considering employee welfare. Exacerb- ex- exacerbates the imbalance. The high work pressure really putting the employee into stress and burnout, and overcommitment will make your employee overthinking, and it will increase the percentages of stress. And unsupportive work culture, it is mean that in the bad environment that company pushes the employees to have performance, but does not care about their own personal life, it will decrease the performance of the employee itself. Next, please. Now, this is where the human capital management plays a critical role. First thing first is conducting flexibility needs assessment to understand employee preferences and work-life balance, and providing training for leaders and managers to cultivate empathy and emotional intelligence in managing diverse team, promoting the development of adaptive work policies such as flexible hours, hybrid arrangement, or wellness program to enhance the employee satisfaction and retention. This is one of the human capital management task to actually train their uh, leader of the team to actually take care of their members or their member wellness, because if not, as I said before, if not taken carefully, it will reduce the performance of the team. Next, please. Oh, this is my end, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sadam, for the valuable presentations. And now next to our ne next speaker, we will hear from Nurdia Hassan, and the topic is about employee well-being.
Okay, thank you, moderator, and thank you, Sadam, the first speaker who has opened our understanding about what well-being. I am Nurdia Safitra Anggraini Hassan. I am going to talk about a concept of employee well-being as a core element in modern human capital management. So, what is employee well-being? Employee well-being refers to overall quality of an employee experience at work and in life. It's not just about staying physically healthy, it involves multiple areas that affect how people feel and perform every day. The employee well-being divide into 5 dimensions. Is it physical well-being, mental well-being, social well-being, financial well-being, and emotional well-being? In physical well-being includes that health, exercise, nutrition, sleep, and energy levels. If employees are physically unwell or tired, their productivity and mood can suffer. And in mental well-being, covers stress, anxiety, burnout, and overall psychological health. Mentally healthy employees are more focused, creative, and resilient. Social well-being involves positive relationship with relationship with coworkers, managers, and the team. A strong sense of belonging boosts morale and teamwork. Financial well-being refers to how secure and confident employees feel about their finance. It's about salary, savings, debt management, and financial planning. And emotional well-being is employees want to feel valued, respected, and safe. They should have a sense of purpose, feel appreciated, and know their work matters. Next slide, please. Why is well-being is a strategic priority? Taking care of employee well-being is not just the right thing to do. It's also a business advantage. Why? Loyal and motivated workers feel when employees feel cared for, they are more likely to stay, perform, and go to the extra mile and improve the performance. Healthy minds and bodies support better focus, faster learning, and fewer sick days. And also attracting younger generation. Gen Z and millennials prioritize work-life balance, mental health, and meaningful jobs. A company that supports well-being is more appealing to them. Next slide. Okay. The next is what happens if well-being is ignored. Neglecting employee well-being can create serious problems for a company, such as high employee turnover, more workplace conflict, reputation damage, and increased health-related costs. In high employee turnover, people leave when they feel burned out, unsupported, or unappreciated. So it can increase the hiring and training cost. And more workplace conflicts, it can, poor well-being can lead to frustration, miscommunication, and tension between the teams. And reputation damage, word spreads quickly. A company seen as uncaring or toxic can lose its reputation among job seekers and customers. And stress-related illness and long-term health problems rise, and insurance and medical expense for the organization. Next slide, please. So, the role of human capital management in driving well-being. Human capital management is a key role in making well-being part of company strategy. how it can be psychological support, financial education program, flexible work arrangement, and manager training. HCM can try to provide access to mental health resources such as counseling, support hotlines, and therapy sessions. HCM also can help employees manage their money through workshop, budgeting tools, and access financial advisors. And also over remote work, flexible hour, or part-time option depending on life stage. Example, new parent, care fish, and older employees. And human capital also can equip leaders to recognize early sign of stress, burnout, or disengagement, so they can respond appropriately and support their teams better. Next slide. So from me, employee well-being is no longer option. It's the new productivity driver. When people feel good, they do good work. That's why well-being must be embedded in company policies and supported at every level. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, Nurdia, thank you for your insightful presentation. Okay, now we go to our last speaker, Fadli Surya Saputra, and he will bring topic, what is the role of human capital management today?
Okay, thank you for the moderator, Hanaika. My name is Muhammad Fadli Surya Saputra, and I will focus on how human capital management plays a real role in creating a work system that support work-life balance and well-being. So the first, what is the role of human capital management today? So in the past, the role of human capital was mostly administrative, handling payroll, attendance, and recruitment. But today, human capital play us a more strategic role. It's not longer just about filling vacancies, but about managing the quality of work life of employees. So the employees need more than just job security. They want to work in a company that care about their physical, mental, and social well-being. That's why human capital management today is responsible for ensuring that employees feel valued, support, and motivated in their daily work. Next. Sorry, next. Okay. So, this is a real strategy that human capital can implement. So, HM must take concerted action that are aligned with current workforce needs, such as like flexible work policy. This is includes hybrid working or compressed working hours that allow employees to be more productive in less time, and then mental health program. So like as access to free counseling, mindfulness session, or mental health days, so employees can take care of their emotional well-being. And then employee assistance program. This offer support beyond the workplace, such as financial financial advice, legal consultation, and personal counseling. Then inclusive leadership training. So leader and manager are trained to develop empathy and practice health communication to create a psychological safe work environment. The last data-driven monitoring tools like employees engagement survey, pulse check, and exit in interview help HCM gather feedback and make better decision based on employees' needs. Next. Okay, this is a real case study. For example, Tokopedia offer free counseling service and mental health leave policy, showing their commitment to emotional well-being. And then Unilever applies working principle, providing flexibility and extended parental leave to support work-life balance for employees with families. The last Grab. So Grab hosts regular mindfulness session and over 24/7 counseling hotlines to support employee mental health. Next. So this is implementation challenge. Okay. Even though this is a strategy sound ideal, many organizations still face challenge in implementation, such as precision of cost. Some leaders still believe that well-being programs are too expensive or not essential to business result. So out that work culture, traditional mindset that prioritize control over flexibility can resist new ways of working. The last lack of internal education. Employees and manager may not fully understand the value of well-being or how to support it. Okay, next. Oh, okay, this is a solution and a recommendation to overcome this challenge. Organization can take several practical steps. The first, educate leaders with data. So you can use research and statistics to show how employee well-being positively affects productivity, retention, and overall business performance. And then start small. So implement simple initiative like no meeting free day, digital detox hours, or creating relaxing break areas in the office. The last involve employees in policy making. Use a CEO creation approach where employees participate in designing work policy, making them feel hard and involved. Okay.
Okay, Fadli, thank you for your presentation. Now we already heard from all three speakers, and we will open the Q&A sessions. If you have any question, feel free to type them in the chat or raise your hand, and I'll read them for our speaker to respond. Okay, for the participant, is there any question? Okay, we have
Yeah.
Okay, Speaker one, I would like to ask your topic, work-life balance and the dynamic of the modern workplace. My question is, how can company overcome the traditional work culture that sees overtime exclusive of loyalty, especially in promoting healthy work-life balance? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah Aulia. Well, I see this as a mindset issues that must be changed from top down and bottom up. Companies need to stop associating long hours with dedication. Instead, we should shift to valuing productivity and well-being. Human capital teams can play a big role by educating leaders to be more empathic and setting boundaries around working hours, like limiting after-hour meetings or respecting offline time. When an employee feel trusted and loyalty comes naturally, not from staying late, but from delivering real impact. I think that is the answer from me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question, Sarah. And for the answer from Saddam, is there any question again?
Yes.
Sure.
My second question is employee well-being consists of 5 dimensions: physical, mental, social, financial, and emotional. Which dimension is often overlooked, and what are the consequences?
Okay, thank you, Zhang Ziwan, for the question. The answer is based on what we see in most workplace. Emotional and financial well-being is less intentions. Emotional well-being, like feeling valued or psychologically safe, is crucial but easily neglected. Similarly, financial stress can silently affect performance and mental health. If these are ignored, employee might feel disconnected or anxious, leading to low engagement or even burnout and turnover. That's why well-being program must include not only physical health but also emotional support and financial education to help employee feel safe, valued, and secure. Okay, that's all my answer. Thanks, Zivan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any question for other participants? Maybe from Fernando, Dena, or Raffi. or maybe Rizky, you can ask your questions.
Okay. Mm, pro- Programs like counseling and flexible working exist but are under utilized. What strategies can increase employee participation?
Okay, thank you, Dena. So that's a great question. Okay, the first thing we need to do is remove the stigma around this program. So many employees feel afraid to speak up or access support. That's where leadership play a role. If leaders are open about using this resource, it sets a powerful example. Other case strategy is CO asks employees what they really need in involve them in the design and communicate clearly how it benefit them. Also making it accessible and integrate into their work day, not just an extra can really boost participant. That's all my answer. Thank you.
Okay, so there is no question anymore? That concludes our Q&A sessions. Thank you for all our speakers for sharing such valuable insight, and thank you for our participant for the question and for your great engagement. Now I will return the session back to our Master of Ceremony to close the event. Fitriani, Fuji, and the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much to all speakers for the insightful presentation and to our moderator, Hannah, for leading the session smoothly. Before we close, let's take a group photo. Can turn on your camera for a moment. One, two, three. One, two, three. Okay, thank you everyone. Stay safe and see you at the next event.
Thank
Bye.
you.